Morning, morning. It's Monday, the 24th of October, and we are here with another Judges' Duels. Horses to follow from a interesting weekend. I've got some couple of horses from Aintree. Judges got from Cheltenham. Judge, good morning. Ready for another week?
Good morning, mate. Got into full jumps mode now, mate.
Yeah, full jumps mode now. So, right, you're going to start at Cheltenham, Judge, I believe. I'll let you get your first one, mate.
Okay, mate. Well, the first one ran on the Friday, and it was a massive eye catcher for me. It was Duffel Coat, the Gordon Elliott horse, officially rated 140 now. Good enough to win a Grade 2 as a juvenile hurdler around Cheltenham. It was, I don't think it was an interesting ride, the right way of saying. It just seemed to get outpaced between 3 out and 2 out. It dropped back from probably about 7th or 8th to virtually last. And then you watch it from 2 out to the last, it ended up finishing 6th in a 2-mile race. Funny old race. Seems the pace held up, that whoever's at the front sort of like stayed there all the way. Improving all Soul Icon, backed off the boards, won it. But this horse has actually got a mark that would actually get him in the Coral Cup come the end of the season. I can't help thinking it's a big 2.5 mile handicap in this horse. Very nice run. If you looked at its run, a couple of runs earlier in Ireland, the Down Royal behind Salvador Ziggy, who I'll come to later on, who ran very well in the Potemps race later on. It sort of went odds on him running in that particular race over 3 miles and didn't get home. There was a decent race in this, and I think that's a couple of times now I've seen it running better than it, let's say, finishing possession as it suggested. So Duffel Coat is the first one.
From Malik there. A little sight around Cheltenham, and then yeah. And the betting patterns around the Elliott horses over the weekend were incredible to witness. Let's say that
they were pretty accurate on most of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, I'm going to go to Aintree for my 2. It's the first Aintree meeting of the season. The big race was the Old Rowan, and I'll start with my first one there. It's one of the first big chases of the season. It was 240 yesterday at Aintree. Now, Hitman, I said to somebody yesterday morning who was going to have a big bet on Hitman, I said, be careful. Hitman always finds a way of getting beat. And he did it yesterday. But Hitman is a very, very strong horse to handicap the race round because he races in high quality chases, and he invariably always finishes second. But I was like, he's the sort of horse that I'll handicap this race around. Now, he ran his race, Hitman, and he didn't really fancy it at the end, which is what always happens. So he's a little wealth warning horse. But he is a
running horse, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. The shock winner was the Riders on the Storm for Richard Hobson, who ran great. But you can pick him yourself. He's been flagged up. The horse I like here for people to take from it is the 3rd, trained by Jamie Snowden, G.A. Law. Now this ran an absolute cracker. Been off a while. Had he jumped,
yes,
he would have won, but you've got to jump him. He was held up off the pace. He's ploughed through the first fence, but it was at the 12th when he made a crunching mistake, which cost him probably 3 or 4 lengths to get it for Berkey to get him.
Really?
Yeah. That jump cost him the race. Now, I'm sure Jamie Snowden will work on that. He's still an inexperienced horse. He has not had many runs at all. He hadn't been seen since the 27th of February last year. He'd had a long time off where he got beat by a really good horse, Tamarok de Matan. He only got beat there. He was off 150 then. He'd been dropped to 142. He'll go back up a couple of pounds for winning this. But I think Snowden will get this one out pretty quickly, Judge. And I think there's a decent handicap chase in this, at least. I think he's a horse going places. I was really impressed with how he travelled yesterday. Now, by jumping properly, he would have beaten Hitman yesterday. Now, the Mildmay course takes some jumping. I think they'll take him back to sort of a Kempton, maybe Huntingdon for the Peterborough, something like that. I think he's got a big race in him. I think he'll be underrated. Everybody was talking about Hitmen getting beat. Riders on the Storm, fantastic. Yeah, great performance. But the one to take out for me is G8 Law, trained by Jamie Snowden, and a real eye catcher next time out for a big handicap or graded chase for me.
Yeah, I think the Riders on the Storm ran very well first time out at Aintree last season, so that was the time to possibly catch that particular horse.
Yeah.
The second Hitman just, I mean, it does keep coming second. I mean, he does throw it away a little bit. He tries hard, then he doesn't try at all, if you know what I'm trying to say. It's weird.
Yeah. But he is a horse that
he's bang
produces,
solid. I mean, he's bang solid. Your horse was definitely the horse to take out the race. My only little concern was obviously the long layoff and the old bounce factor. So whether you might be better off giving it a little bit of a break and then coming. But I agree with you. He's definitely the horse going places because he's not had many runs, has he? He's a novice, really. He hasn't had many runs over fences, and he's the one horse in the race you could possibly see going further, as in going up in an upward trajectory.
I think.
I definitely like the run. Like I say, that mistake. I think it was about 4 out, wasn't it? It was right where you don't want to make one. And for him to actually get into third and nearly look like winning for a minute was incredible effort. So I like that run, mate. Very good.
A real stuffing out of him, that mistake.
It did. I mean, really, he's had every right to sort of drop away, but I mean, actually coming down towards the last for about sort of like 20 to 50 yards, he looked like he might even get involved and win. Yeah. I mean, it was some run.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So the GA Law's my first. We'll come to you again now, Judge.
Yeah, well, it might later on sound like a Gary Moore love fest. Now, I don't know what you think about Potence qualifiers, but normally they're awful races, aren't they? They never normally, you won't see many winners come out of them. There's only, I really think probably nearly on the card for next time out winners or future winners. I think the Potence qualifier is going to be a really good race. And it was won by a horse called Shoot First, who's being lined up obviously for the final because I can't see that running again. There was fortunes for it. I mean, like I say, it won quite comfortably. I quite like all the horses that run behind them. I think there's good run from Panic Attack. Looked like it was one for the future, say for a future handicap. Silver Sheen first run for Fergal O'Brien from the Harrington Yard, ran very nicely. Salvador Ziggy ran a very nice race for Gordon Elliott. That's a really improving novice. He's actually achieved an RPR of 148 and would be interesting if it improved just a little bit for the old 3 mile novice come Cheltenham. It was a very good run. But the one I'm taking from it has to be the Gary Moore horse here, Botox Has. Because if you go back to its run in the National Spirit last year when it won it, it beat the likes of Brewing Up a Storm and Guard Your Dreams, real good horses. And Darva Star was fifth in that. Look, that's won about 2 or 3 races in Ireland this year. Off a mark of 140, this horse is very well handicapped. It made a mistake at the first and was up there all the way on Saturday. And it only took a really well handicapped horse to beat it. I think this horse has got juice still off its mark of 140 in handicap hurdles, but it's only run over fences once and fell. So it's obviously got a novice chase campaign, and he actually jumped hurdles like it was actually a big, sort of novice chase, if you like, over the jumps. I'll be interested to see where they go, but whether they go straight chasing with him. But they're definitely a decent handicap in this horse. I can't see them waiting for the final because it's got a lot of unfinished business. Whereas you can see the winner of that particular race on Saturday will possibly wait for the final. I can see them getting a handicap hurdle and then going novice chasing with this horse. But it's a nice horse and it's well handicapped still. Botox Has, the Gary Moore horse.
Yeah, I think when he won at Fontwell, so many people had lost so much money on him just groaned, didn't they? Yeah, he's one of them horses. Obviously flopped at the festival, but you're right, he's capable of really strong form. He impressed first time out last year, I think, as well. I think it might have been at TIPSTER. He won a big race there. I don't know whether obviously when they go novice chasing and they fall, to go back over hurdles, will the owners want another go over fences, or it's a tricky one?
Yeah, so, I mean, at the end of the day, it's up to they've had one run and a fall. I mean, if you give up after just the one run, if he's not been schooling well at home, they wouldn't bother. But where it jumped hurdles, for me, it sort of jumped it like it'd been chasing at home.
Yeah, he's a bit steep. Yeah. I mean, he is a very, very talented horse. Yeah, I can see that. He's just a horse that's scarred me over the years. Catching him.
Yeah, he ran in the Coral Cup last year, didn't he? Pulled up, but my only concern with I don't like horses that are always up there all the way at Cheltenham in the handicaps come. Yeah. The festival time. I don't mind during the year because for some reason they get left alone up there, but they sometimes go too fast at the festival. But
they do,
like I say, it's not actually an advantage, believe it or not, during the season to be up there, especially over.
Oh, Botox has. I'm going to go back to Aintree yesterday for my second and final duel, and that was in the mares. Bumper, Class 4, but I think this was a good race. And I think the form might get underrated, and we love underrated form. The winner, who landed a huge late gamble, 11-2 into 15-8. So, in capital letters, they knew, was the debutant Cred. I've been practicing it as well. Cred Rojava, the Irish bred horse, trained by Harry Fry. Was ridden by Johnny Burke. Now, obviously, that's going to get flagged up everywhere. That's not my eye catcher, but you can find that yourself. I like the second here, who was 16-1, Ruby Island, trained by Mark Walford. Now, this horse had form. In fact, it had won its previous race, so had that £4 penalty for being a previous winner. The race did not go to plan, and I'm sure Mr. Garrity, if he had it again, would ride differently. But as we say every week, he ain't going to get a chance to ride it again. He obviously was told to hold it up. I've no problem with that. But then he found a lot of traffic problems. When he did get clear, the horse started to hang away from the whip and lost a lot of ground. Then he gathered it up and got it going. To be fair, that was good riding and corrected it. Only got beat half a length, Judge, against a horse that was heavily, heavily gambled. Must have been thought ready to do the business and did. But this thing gave it weight, and if it run in a straight line, it would have given it weight and a beating. I think this is a seriously good horse. The time before it had won, no great shakes, a Class 5 at Hexham. But the manner it won that was quite taking. Now, Walford never pushes his horses, so the first time out third, probably
education.
And would have needed it to get it spot on. Since then, an impressive win, one going away at Hexham, then taken to Aintree, was completely ignored in the market with all the big yards, Skelton, Harry Fry, whatever. This was a Class 4 in name only. I think this was a good bumper yesterday. I do know that the third Tipperary Star, trained by Warren Greatrex, was very strongly fancied yesterday. Now, Greatrex is not had the winners he was having a few years ago. His horses used to go off when they were fancied 6-4, 5-4, didn't they? This was 16s into 10s. Tipperary Star, they thought that was going to be bang there. This form has got a very strong look to it. Bombay Sapphire drifted yesterday, that was fifth. Nicky Henderson, seriously well-bred horse, may have needed the run yesterday, was the even money favourite on Saturday night. But that was fifth. The Skeltons gambled in the sixth, Clara Rose. This is one where I think we'll see a lot of winners come from. But you know what, Judge? The horse that will be forgotten is the Walford horse, Ruby Island. But we're not going to forget it. Now, that's its, I think, possibly last run in a bumper. I think you're going to see this in a novice hurdle very, very soon. Maybe somewhere like Wetherby tends to target there. I think this is a very, very seriously promising horse. Yeah, Ruby Island. Obviously, horses that start snaking around the track, fair enough. You've got to give them a little bit of a wide berth. But what I did like was when the jockey corrected it, the horse then straightened itself and really went again. What you don't like is a horse that drifts and carries on drifting. Yeah. And the jockey, like the thing in the Racing Post Trophy. But
all right, don't rub it in.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
Like Dodgems, wasn't it?
Yeah. So Ruby Island will be the forgotten horse of this race, but not by us. And I think it's going to have a very promising novice hurdle campaign. If they do stay with a bumper, probably come back to entry or whatever for the big one at the entry festival. But yeah, seriously impressive young horse, Ruby Island.
Yeah, so nice performance. That race often throws up winners as well. So
yes,
it seems to be a good race for the future. I've just got to bring this up. Did you see the old person had the big bet going into that race on the winner and cashed out for 58,000 instead of letting it run and would have won 425,000? Don't know if you've read about that at all.
No, I haven't.
So yeah, if you have a look, they cashed out for 58. They had an ACCA and a lucky 15, I think. You certainly would have kept the lucky going, wouldn't you? Rather and maybe cashed out the ACCA, but so it's an expensive mistake there, if you like. But still, I'm sure they're quite happy this morning winning 58,000. But it's what could have been again, isn't it?
I don't feel sorry for anybody winning 58 grand. Sorry, no sympathy for me.
No. Well, it's just the chance to win a biggie. You know, put a zero after that. They're the ones, aren't they? You know.
Yeah,
So I see where you're coming from. I do also think you're on about when he did. She, because it's a mare's race. She hung left. Yeah. She's only her third run, so you've always got a chance of a bit more greenness and still learning from the game. So no, for me, it was the best horse in the race. I agree.
Yeah. Right, Judge, over to you, mate.
Right, I'm going to go to the last one. I think possibly everybody in the country might have seen this because I think Mr. Magoo was the only person who missed it. Editor Geet on Saturday. Let's say for betting patterns, he wasn't fancied. He probably would need the run. But why you would hold up a horse whose best form is completely from the front, you can draw your own conclusions from that. But I just didn't think he was given his best chance of winning the race. Let's say that. Ran on nicely into third. Came fourth off his exact same mark in the Grand Annual last season. And you can't help thinking that is the aim this season, even after just one run. I will be surprised it doesn't have a couple of runs in sort of those condition races, those 2-mile races. A bit like the winner from the previous year, you know, I can't remember, the John Joe O'Neill horse did exactly the same last year. Possibly get dropped a couple of pounds throughout the season and goes there near off top weight off about a mark of 150, would have an outstanding chance of hitting the frame again in the Grand Annual. But sort of more a long-term project. Watch it back and see what you think. But I'm going to have to put him in my tracker for March. So he's one for the end of the season, Editor De Geet.
I'm going to slightly disagree with you there, Judge. It's all fair in
That's
tipping.
what it's all about. Yeah.
Firstly, do the stewards actually watch racing? The rules of racing are that the horse should be run to get its best finishing position and be ridden accordingly. I believe that's still the rules of racing, Judge. Has it been changed?
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
You're on about watching the replay. Now, for all the people on Twitter and forums who were absolutely slagging this jockey off for the ride, let's be very clear. I very much doubt that he got to the start and decided to hold the front runner up and go very wide the entire way. Just saying. If he did, then it's all on him. But I suspect that if you're shouting and screaming at the jockey,
definitely expect him to be on a hold. He was told to hold it up. I don't think there's much doubt about that.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's be very clear. And I'm not doing, if people can criticise. I always say, when people say you can't criticise jockeys, well, you can praise them for good rides. So logically, you should be able to criticise bad ones. But in this, I think all the people giving him abuse are looking in the wrong direction. Let me say that. Now, after the second
he's a 3-pounder as well, isn't he? He's a good 3-pounder as well.
Yeah, he is. He was riding 2 orders. After the second fence, the horse had an opportunity to come in. A gap appeared. He didn't take it, stayed wide, and I knew exactly what was unfolding then. This is a horse that was as short as 5-2 on
overnight
Friday evening.
Yeah.
And had every reason to be that short. Now, here's what I think, Judge. I don't think your festival thing is going to work. I think this thing is going to come back to Cheltenham very, very soon and be ridden aggressively from the front. And it would not surprise me at all if it won. I
think it could win a race of that quality for sure.
Yeah, I think, forget the festival, this horse is going to be cherry ripe and do the business next time up.
If he were mine, I would definitely aim for the most valuable type 2-mile handicap rather than the Mickey Mouse one, if you see what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but there's plenty of big money.
No, it wouldn't have to be the Grand Annual. What I'm trying to say is he's got a very good record round like Sandown and Ascot, Gary Moore. So I wouldn't be too surprised he could pop round, one of those sort of tracks. There's nearly always a couple of valuable Ascot handicaps over 2 miles, aren't there?
Yeah, but I suspect we'll see him back at Cheltenham.
You see him, he's got a good record at Cheltenham, so you know. That was the thing why I couldn't understand the drift. It's like it's got loads of previous at Cheltenham, and then for it to run it didn't run badly, did it? It ran well. So.
And this race was on TV, and it's not a good look for the game. There's plenty of other sports people can bet on.
Yeah.
It's not. Anybody who's involved, I didn't find it particularly edifying as a spectacle. That I will say that. But if he wins next time,
understand the game, mate. It happens, and that's part and parcel of the game sometimes. But I don't agree with it. But you do know it, don't you? I thought it's not.
Yeah, wasn't a great.
It's not rocket science. But it is very frustrating. One of my colleagues he had 2 winners on the Friday going on to it in a Trixie. What can you do? So,
well, that's my point. There's plenty of other things to bet on. People will go, all right, I'll go and bet on footy after that. I didn't get a chance there. So anybody, in the game, we're not applying to be choir boys here, and we all love a gamble.
No, I do think you do get frustrated on the telly when everyone's being politically correct and don't go, well, hang on, let's ask a question there. You certainly can ask a question, can't you?
Yeah.
Do you remember there was I can't remember the name of the horse now. There was Get Me Out of Here, the horse was called. That's it. Throughout the season, it was given, let's say, even Tony McCoy was, and there was loads of trouble. Lydia Hislop got in all sorts of trouble because she questioned the rock, And come Cheltenham, it got beat a short head, didn't it?
There you go.
Yeah.
So there you go, folks. Read into it what you want, but I think next time out, Judge thinks maybe like Cheltenham. But one thing's for sure, I think that's the last time we'll see Editor de Gite held up wide. I think he'll go back to bold front-running
tactics. That's its strong point.
Now, let's bring it home. Monday night, tonight, Newcastle, Cardmarker, monster prices. Newcastle's been the #1 Cardmarker track. I love the way this card goes. I've got some big prices, Judge. 25s, 20s, 16s. Anybody can get involved. Now, the way to play these is you play the Nat and the next best as singles, do them in their own double, and then get combo in. And let's hope we're turning down 58 grand. What is it? To cash out.
Right.
Tonight in Newcastle, get involved at the top link. Judge, I'm going to see you on Friday, mate.
Perfect.
See you in the weekend. Have a great week, everybody. Keep it HFC. Get these horses down. I'm sure you're going to get some more surefire future winners. Have a great week, Judge.
You too, mate. Be lucky.
All the best. Be lucky.
HOLDENS. Horses.